Excuse me. Pardon me.
Hey, sit down.
Hey guys, Alec, Kubas-Meyer here.
Hubert, Vigilla, how's it going?
So we've been wanting to talk about festival fatigue for probably about a year and a half.
Yeah.
So the two of us cover festivals together a lot. We've probably covered, 5, 6, 7, something, a lot of festivals together. And they have a tendency to come one after another, after another, after another. This past 2 months we covered the New York Asian Film Festival, Japan Cuts, and Fantasia Fest, and we're tired.
Earlier in the year, I did South by Southwest in Tribeca, and that was maybe about 3 weeks apart, and that was murder. It's just, I think I saw about 60 movies and reviewed a lot of them.
And part of the problem is just, you see so many movies, at some point they turn into kind of a blur.
Yeah, at a certain point, there's that one quirky indie comedy you saw, with like really twee music and the Manic Pixie Dream Girl, and you realize that's like 4 or 5 movies that you saw, and it's, oh man.
Last year at the New York Asian Film Festival, I saw this movie Tokyo Playboy Club, and immediately afterwards I saw a movie called Gyo. Gyo is this crazy anime thing about sharks and poop-powered people bots and stuff. And I totally forgot what Tokyo Playboy Club was about. Gyo was just like such a mind wipe. Sometimes we see 4 movies in a day, and it's kind of hard to keep up, don't you think?
Yeah, in one way it's a great way to see movies because you're seeing a lot of material you won't get to see in theaters a lot of times that are still looking for distribution, but it's also a horribly unnatural way to see movies because, you're gonna watch 4 movies a day, you gotta write them up, you're usually pretty exhausted. If you do that enough for about 10 days, all of a sudden you can't remember anything, including your name. The worst part about it is it's great to watch movies, but you do get to that point where the last thing you want to do is watch another stupid movie. Luckily at Tribeca, they at least entice you with free food and ice cream. I saw 40 movies at the Tribeca Film Festival, and I think I had just as many free ice cream bars. So at least there was that.
There's actually benefits, I think, from watching multiple movies in a row. Tribeca, I did a dual review of Big Bad Wolves and Whitewash, and that was because I saw the 2 movies really close to each other, and so I got a different perspective on each of the movies because I had seen them so close to each other. And that has to do with sort of festival programming and a well-done juxtaposition of these 2 movies. On the other hand, I saw Before Midnight, immediately followed up by Prince Avalanche, which is the best movie of the year, followed by a movie that wasn't really very good, made so much worse by the fact that it was a character drama trying to follow up Before Midnight.
At South by Southwest, I saw Everybody's Going to Die, this really fun sort of misfit love story from the UK, and I saw Upstream Color right after that. And if you've read my long analysis of Upstream Color,
Which you should.
Yeah, that really played into how I sort of interpreted and read that movie, and I don't think I would have arrived at the same conclusions I did about Upstream Color if I hadn't seen Everyone's Going to Die before that. So it's pretty fascinating. It's one of those benefits about, like Alec said, seeing things stacked together in that way. You start making connections, and it seems like one of the best things about watching movies and talking about movies is seeing the connections you can draw to other movies or other things you've experienced.
One of the good things about the New York Asian Film Festival for me, and it's the reason it's my favorite festival, is because I watch a lot of Korean movies and no one else watches Korean movies. But at the New York Asian Film Festival, if I strike up a conversation with a random person in the Walter Reed Theater, they've probably seen at least half a dozen Korean movies. Maybe they've seen more than I have. I was talking to people who were just straight up Korean. They couldn't speak English, so it was kind of an awkward conversation. But, they were proud of me for having seen Bong Joon-ho's Memories of Murder. It's very nice to be able to connect with people who are interested in the same sort of movies. And that's a benefit of sort of festivals that are more focus. Bigger festivals like Sundance don't really have that same kind of focus. Everyone loves movies, but you don't necessarily have it's the people who love crazy, psychotic Japanese whatever.
Yeah, usually for those you have to go to the specific midnight screenings or something, as opposed to just being like everyone's sort of into everything.
Right. That all being said, there's too many film festivals.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because it seems like almost anyone can start one. And they're going to be of varying quality, and they're all going to have that little bracket thing that goes through all the posters. So you can play the Podunk Film Festival in like Kansas. You just put that little wreath thing, and it's like, oh, they played a festival.
Yeah, right. And a festival film is totally worth watching. I used to believe that, by the way. I sent a text to a friend, and I was talking about how I was seeing a million festival films in the next month. They weren't all great, and she was like, but it's playing at a film festival. Doesn't that mean something? I used to think that. I used to be naive and believe that being part of a film festival meant it was good or the cream of the crop or whatever. And sometimes it is. Like sometimes some of the best movies I've ever seen, I've seen at film festivals. But at the same time, there's so much shit that plays at festivals. I mean, Fantasia had 130 movies. You're not going to get 130 great movies. That's actually impossible because they're trying to play from the last, 5-10 years, whatever. It's not going to happen. And that's too bad because that creates sort of an awkward...
Last year's New York Film Festival, one of the critics joked that he heard a festival programmer at another film festival say during their introduction, jokingly, well, this is a movie we were showing because we didn't hate it the least or something. And I think that's probably what a lot of festival programmers face, and that's probably why you get a lot of mediocre or middling movies. And on the note of sort of the crapshoot that is a festival film, I mean, it's hard to get 130 even just okay movies in a row. You're going to have some awful movies. Yeah. But the good thing is, I mean, the ratio would work out where you just have like this great little bell curve. We're going to have like garbage. A lot of things are going to be mediocre to good, but then you're going to see, those great things, some of the best things you will ever see. And they might only be things you see at a festival, which is sad because certain movies that are great can't get distribution one way or another, and I don't understand why.
One of the first things I saw from Flixist was this movie called BTS Better Than Sex. And it's a movie that you can't really find. Like, it exists on DVD. Good luck finding a copy. They actually had to show it on DVD because there were literally no prints with English subtitles ever made, ever. Sometimes, as someone who's writing about these, at some point I feel like, maybe I should just stop. I want to give these movies their due, especially the good ones. If I've seen 10 movies, 3 of them or 5 of them were really great, I want to give every single one of them their due. But that's hard sometimes because I just watch 10 movies and trying to write 5 legitimate, well-reasoned reviews while I have other things to do with my life. It's kind of hard sometimes.
Yeah, especially, Alec and I write a lot of longer, sort of more thoughtful reviews on the site especially, and those do take time and it takes a lot of brain power, and sometimes you can only really write one of those realistically a day, 2 if you push it, but like sometimes it does sort of take that toll on you mentally.
With National Security, which I reviewed, that review took me a day longer than I expected because it was just such a difficult topic to write about. It's about torture, and it's just such an intense film and an intense experience, and it made me think about a lot of things, both about film, but the way I view film, about torture. It's the kind of film that's really hard to write about. And so, I saw that, and it's like, I have a ton of other reviews to write, but I need to stop. I need to, not think about any other film than National Security for, a 24-hour period so I can do this film justice. Do you have any final thoughts?
We started talking about how it's exhausting sometimes to cover a film festival, or a lot of times to cover a film festival, and how it can be a source of, stress. But in the end, I think the good outweighs the bad, only because it's so invigorating to be able to sit down and contemplate movies seriously and watch a bunch of movies you might not ever see anywhere else, and just to be around people who really care about film. It's such a wonderful thing.
I'd agree. There's a reason we've done so many of them. It's tiring, and hopefully our quality isn't going down as we write more and more reviews, but as we have later and later nights. But we do this because we want to. No one's telling us that we have to review every single festival film and cover every single festival. That's on us, and yeah, it's good stuff. Okay.